Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Gadgets for Gentlemen. In this video I'm going to revisit the Arctic Medium Search and Rescue Automatic, also known as the Arctic MSAR Auto by Marathon. In May I had a look at this beautiful Swiss-made 36mm military issued diver with this beautiful white dial. Over the past week I had some time to play around with this watch and I thought let's do a review. I had a hands-on video, you can find it in the archives of this channel, and I had some more time to play around with this watch, and in this video I will share with you my experiences wearing this watch for about a week, and I really like it. This watch belongs to a friend and I came even to the point of questioning whether I should purchase this watch because I like it a whole lot. But also it would not be a review if I would not also share with you some of my negative points about this watch, which are very limited because I think this watch is really amazing. I decided not to purchase this one and I will share with you the reasons why so. If I had a bigger budget I would definitely buy this one. Honestly, I would go for the black version. So this watch comes in a few different variations. We're dealing here with a 36mm watch designed for the smaller wrists. And I saw in the reviews also some ladies, they wear this watch. They also make a bigger one. I think it's 41mm. And this small one comes both in a quartz version and this one being automatic. They come in two different dial colors, white and black. So I would opt probably to go for the black dial automatic and 36mm because I really like this size, and I like black dials more so than white dials. Here on the right, by comparison, we have a black dial, and I just wanted to show you what that could look like. And currently I'm wearing it on this ripped NATO by Cheap NATOs. So that is the Marathon white dial. And also let's compare it to a Citizen watch. So you can see a little bit of the combination. This is the blue Citizen NY0040 and also on a ripped NATO by Cheap NATOs. And for me, what is interesting to show you is the number one thing that I really love about the Marathon watch is the thick bezel. It's so easy to grab it even when you're wearing gloves. No issues whatsoever. And also with the Citizen, it's really pleasant to work, especially with these grooves. So in my opinion, you can say that these watches are really two watches and are really excellent to work in the field. The Marathon has been worn in Iraq and Afghanistan, so recent wars in the Middle East, and the Citizen watch has been used by the Italian Navy, I think even tested to 500 meters, while the watch, I think it states 200 meters, but they even got it tested to 500 meters. The Marathon is 300 meters water resist, which I think is insane. You can see that the Marathon watch is really thick. I think here we're dealing with 14mm from the screw case back to the sapphire crystal here on the top, which I think is flat. The Citizen, I think we're dealing with 12 from the screwed case to the hardened mineral crystal. And finally, let's show you the SKX case. I think it's similar, also about 12mm from that screw down case to the hardened mineral crystal. And this bezel, I love the design and the shape of it, but it's not as easy to hold on to compared to the Marathon. So my point here, other than just to show you some differences in terms of size, is just to point out that this watch is the real deal. This one has been issued by the American forces for actual use. So this is not your everyday regular watch, but this is a proper military watch with ISO 6425 requirements or certification. So this brings me to a pro and a con. So for my tiny wrist, 6.3 inches, this diameter really works. Also that lug to lug of 44 millimeters, this really does the job. But for a daily watch, I think it is a bit too thick. You know, I just do office work. I like dive watches. And for me, the SKX as well as the Citizen, although they are a little bit larger in terms of diameter, with dealing here with 38 and I think 40 or 41, I can say that they wear a bit more comfortable. And for me, it has to do with the thickness of the case all the way to the crystal. That reduced thickness obviously makes these watches less professional in terms of a tool watch, only 200 meters, not 300 meters, but it's plenty for my everyday small wrist. And also, I think they are much less hefty on the wrist. So let me demonstrate that to you first. So here, just on a very generic NATO strap, olive green, the Marathon weighs 87 grams. And the Seiko weighs about 10 grams less. And the Citizen is exactly the same weight as the Marathon. So that is interesting to know, that a 36 millimeter case weighs exact the same as the Citizen case of I think a 41 millimeter watch. In all honesty, let's just weigh it without the strap. So that is 73, just the case. And the Citizen, 73, yeah, 76. So these watches, they weigh about the same. Finally, the Seiko. Wow, that's interesting. So the Seiko is the lightest with a 38 millimeter diameter, thin profile, screw down case, 200 meters. And I think then we have the Seiko lightest, 66, 73 the Marathon, 76 Citizen. So that is good, I think, also for your perspective. So if you want a proper military issued watch with dive specifications, then I think if you have a small wrist, this is a fantastic watch. And then it's a matter of choice whether you want to go for white or black. And let's have a look at the case back. So here it reads 26 dual automatic movement. The movement is basically a movement by Sellita, 26 jewels, automatic, hacking and hand winding, Swiss made, 300 meters. And here we have all these specifications, including the ISO 6425. And also good to point out, the lug width is only 18 millimeters. So the straps on your wrist are much more narrow compared to said earlier watches, being the Seiko and Citizen, that both feature 20 millimeter lugs and hence 20 millimeter straps. So maybe that is also something you want to consider, whether you prefer 20 millimeter width or 18, which is a bit more narrow. Now also, little disclaimer, in some of the shots, I think in the end of the video, I made some videos wearing it on a rubber strap. The rubber strap in the video is not the original strap, but this is a strap by Archer with some quick release, 18 millimeter to pair up with the Marathon. The Marathon watch itself comes in this very nice box. This is the outer box. The watch originally came on a rubber strap, and the owner of this watch also purchased a beautiful metal bracelet that we can see right here. A metal bracelet. I think this is the seal of the US Marines. Pretty sure it is. And in my previous video, there are some more insights. What I really like about this watch bracelet is the fact that we have plenty of micro adjustments for a solid fit. What I don't like so much is these pressed parts. I just like machine parts. And it has a nice taper from the lug to the final bracelet. It tapers from 18 to 16. So that's quite nice. We have solid end links, like so. Oyster style bracelet, really nice. We have screws on both sides. And it was quite painful to remove these screws because you need screwdrivers on both sides at the same time, to unscrew. Also, there is a dive extension that we can see here. There we go. So we have an extra extension if you're wearing a wetsuit. So very good metal bracelet. On the metal bracelet, this watch can be purchased for 1148 euros. And on the rubber strap, it retails for 935 euros. Here we have a look at the rubber strap. And I've never seen anything like this. So what's the reason? As you can see, there have not been any holes on the strap on the front side. So as an owner, you need to find yourself a comfortable fit. And then you need to punch in those holes to perforate it all the way through. So I've never seen anything like it. I'm only familiar with, let's say, pre-perforated adjustment holes. Also, what's really nice, this smells vanilla. So I think it's actual rubber. And we have a Marathon inscribed buckle. So that's a whole lot of information already. Now let me just go over some of the specifications just in case that I forgot anything. What also makes this watch unique is we have tritium gas tubes as hour markers. So the hour markers on this watch, as you can see here, they are glass tubes that are filled with tritium gas, which creates this, let's say, always on lume. So this watch, you don't need to charge with, let's say, light to charge the lume on the gas tubes. So that is very unique. And second of all, we can see that inscription here of that tritium that is used. We can see the symbol here. And I think also the H3, I think, is a symbol for tritium. The beauty of tritium, what I read, is the lume will not fade, unlike paint that is used in dive watches on the hour markers, that over time the reflection or the luminescent material will become weaker over time. On the 12 o'clock on the bezel, the triangle, this is called Maraglow, which actually is some painted materials. So we have this tritium on the hour markers, and it gives light under every condition, and you don't need to charge it. So the beauty is, if you're without light, it will still glow, unlike these kind of watches with luminescent materials that you need to charge. Yeah, to sum up this watch, we can say that it is tough, reliable, military issue, small automatic diver. That is to wrap up some words that I found on the website of Marathon, and I included some words myself. Now let's go over some of the likes and some of my dislikes. First of all, I really love the size. We're dealing here with 36, 44, 14, and 18. I really like those dimensions. I also really like the drilled lugs, which makes removing the spring bars very, very easy. I also like the fact that the tritium gas that is filled in these glass tubes, they don't need charging and are always exposing light. I think that's really cool. This is a truly tool watch that is very, very tough. The fact that this watch has actually seen combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, I'm very much against war, but I think watches that are really tested in tough conditions, those kind of watches and materials, I'm really gravitating towards. So again, I'm against any war, but these products, they are very high quality for being used under these very tough conditions for military personnel. So for me, the fact that these watches are really designed for these tough conditions is really a plus. The crown is also on my notes as being one of the pros of this watch. I've never seen a crown this cool, in my opinion. It just looks so nice, very utilitarian. There's no engraving here, no logos, but just a very good structure that is easy to grab. Although we're dealing here with quite a small watch, the crown is substantial. It's easy to operate. I think it looks as cool as the Citizen. Yeah, and it has a bit of that same knurling as the Seiko. And also quite substantial crown guards. The crown for me is really a beautiful thing about this watch. I also like the taper on the bracelet. Like I told you, from 18 to 16. I like the micro adjustments. I really like the fact that this is a reputable Canadian watchmaker that produces watches in Switzerland. Now let's go over some of the points that I maybe dislike just a little bit about this watch. I think the loom is not as strong as the Citizen and the Seiko, although it's always on. I just prefer a loom that is just very strong. That might fade over time, but is just strong when it's fully charged. I just like that romance of sunlight on your watch and then the loom being fully charged in the evening. But that's just a personal preference, of course. Okay guys, this is gonna be the loom shot. So here on the left I'm wearing the Marathon watch, and here on the right I'm wearing the Citizen as well as the Seiko. So I'm just gonna throw some light on the watch and see what's gonna happen. So I guess the 12 o'clock, the triangle on the bezel, it should light up because that is the MSAR glow. Unlike the tritium, it will charge by the light that we are being exposing on this watch. And now let's continue with the Citizen as well as the Seiko. So as far as I remember, both the Citizen and the Seiko, they have a very strong loom, which is really, really fun. They don't last, I think, the whole night, but in the beginning it will be very strong after a day on the beach. All these watches did not have a whole lot of light, so let's just see what's going to happen when we turn off the lights. So there we have it, the MSAR glow. The tritium, for me, they are readable, but they're not very strong, honestly. Now by comparison, let's have a look at the Seiko and the Citizen. As you can see, they really are very legible and very strong. By comparison, here we have the Marathon here on the top. This is my left hand. We can see just the triangle, which is the 12 o'clock position on the bezel. And we can see that the tritium compared to the loom on the Seiko as well as the Citizen is not that strong. I mean, in the nighttime you will be able to tell, but definitely it's not as strong as the Seiko and the Citizen. So there's the MSAR glow, and we can see that the hour marker on the 12 o'clock position, the tritium gas chamber, is orange and not green, which we can see here. That's really cool. And throw some more light on the Citizen as well as the Seiko. You can see it's like so much stronger compared to the Marathon. So my preference in terms of loom go to Seiko and Citizen. What I noticed, and I wear glasses, so my eyesight is not the best of the world, but I just noticed that the readability of this dial, for me, it's not perfect. It takes me some getting used to, or it's my eyesight, but for me, it takes me more time to actually see the precise time compared to, for example, the Citizen, of which the dial is just, for me, it's a bit more readable because it's bigger. Again, we're dealing here with a beautiful case, but the dial itself, as you can see, it is quite small. So for me, readability of this watch, unfortunately, is not perfect. And with the SKX 013, 38 millimeters, also readability is amazing, just like the Citizen, because that dial is just, I think it's much larger. And here it just takes me a little bit more effort to read it. And for me, that's not a good thing. And for everyday use, again, I think this is a perfect watch for tough conditions. But for my everyday use, I love dive watches, but this is maybe just a little bit too thick compared to these Seiko and Citizen that are just a bit more, let's say, practical on the wrist and also under sleeves, for example, under a jumper. The thickness for me of the Marathon is a bit too bulky. What would be my perfect watch if Marathon made it would be a watch that was a little bit thinner, maybe a little bit larger, like 38 millimeters, and maybe not 300 meters water resist, but only 200 to make it a little bit thinner. And definitely also for me, I would prefer a no date. Here we have the date wheel between 4 and 5. I think a no date would be even cleaner. For me, this is almost the perfect watch, but there are just some very tiny hang-ups that I have with this watch that made me decide not to purchase this one. If I were to buy this watch, I would go for the black one on a rubber strap and just throw it on a NATO or keep it on that vanilla scent rubber strap. For me, the metal bracelet is again adding a bit more weight to the watch. For me, as a daily watch, that makes it a bit too heavy on my wrist. I prefer a more lightweight on the wrist, and on this NATO, it's quite comfortable, and I imagine on the rubber strap as well. I hope this video was useful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, fantastic piece. Can't go wrong. But I think it's also good to take into consideration the few little negative points or critique that I have on this watch. But definitely the positive points, they really outweigh the negative ones. I think, again, a fantastic watch with capitals. For me, it's a near perfect everyday automatic diver that is very legendary, but maybe not for my eyes as readable. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and I look forward to seeing you here soon.